it gives me great joy to see people succeed.
Absolutely. It is the after scene of those big hits of the expressions of people that are either about to cry or they're just so intense about what they just did that just gets my heart. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I love seeing people accomplish their goals, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
live through them. It's why I've coached in many aspects my entire life, and that's the reason why, because I love seeing people be successful. And if
Yep.
I can help them do that, I'm willing to do it.
For
So,
sure.
but we love you, girl. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much
you.
for coming
Thank you,
on.
Emma.
Emma, you got any last words
Not that I can think of.
that you think of? Well, hey, we're going to leave you with this. So you get out there and work hard, peoples, and remember, don't forget to smile. Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody's doing great out there. I'm James, the old guy. We have the beautiful Miss Emma with us. And we also have the beautiful Ashley Rose Butler, who is also, I have to say, a badass power lifter. So we're going to have a lot of fun digging into her life today. How you doing, Ashley?
Doing good. Happy
You
to be
having a good
here.
day today? Good. We're glad to have you. Emma, you doing all right? You have a good day?
Yep, just woke up from my nap.
There you go. That's good. That's the way to start it. Get fresh. Get fresh. But yeah, so Ashley, she comes to us from way up there in North Dakota. And I first came across you, I want to say it was just probably before the very first HWMF challenge. Um, Probably what, 2.5 years ago, 3 years
I was
ago, I
gonna
came
say it's
across
been
you.
about 3 years.
Yeah, on the Axe and Sledge page, I came across you, and I was just following. You were doing all this powerlifting stuff, and I was watching. I love watching people make changes, and you were this little tiny thing, like brand new to lifting and to powerlifting, and I was like, man, watch this girl go. She's working really hard, and it was really impressive. And it has been even more impressive to see what you've done over the last 3 years. So we just love to sit down, kind of go over some of that. I mean, for you, what was the decision that came in your brain where you just even decided you wanted to change your life? Because I know you were dealing with some things in the past and had some struggles, and then all of a sudden, boom, here you are. What started that journey for you?
It's been a long path for like the start of it. It started actually about 10 years ago. I was fresh out of a super long abusive relationship. I was in a town where I knew nobody. I smoked two packs of cigarettes a day and was drinking like a fish. And I got invited into an MMA gym, and I was really strong. And within my first practice, the coach that was there was like, "Hey, do you want to fight?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to fight! Like, I want to fight every one of these demons." But
So she lifts
that was
weights and she can kick your ass. All right, just be careful.
that started my whole journey into the fitness world, and it was really my stepping stone as to what opened the door. I think it's the one thing that led me to where I'm at right now. Because then I got a taste of what not only victory, but hard work and dedication, and what time and effort would pay out in the end. And then it was 4 years ago, I did my first deadlift. And the second I did my deadlift, I was like, this is a done deal. I like this. And I was actually fresh out of a back surgery then. And so I was a little bit weary about what I was lifting, about what I was doing. And then 2 years ago, I was asked if I wanted to compete in a powerlifting meet. And it's all been.
Now that your first meet, you broke some state records, didn't you?
Yeah. I broke all the state records for the open. and submasters, and then I hit an elite status for higher competitive.
And what was it? What was that? What'd you pull? What was your pull to break that?
It was 355 for my dead is what was
Nice.
the at 123 body weight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. See, one of the things I'm telling you, if you're interested in powerlifting, we had any of our listeners, we had Matt Deacons on. I think you might be familiar with him. He's a powerlifter as well. But one of the things I love about Ashley when you watch her technique is spot on. Everything she does. A lot of people don't realize this. In powerlifting, like many things, there is a routine that goes into just walking up to the bar, grabbing the bar, lifting the bar. It's a whole cycle of things. And you do yours, even in your videos, it is the same every single time. Can you talk
Yep.
about that? Why is that so important?
I have kind of a checklist in my head. How I walk up to the bar, where I'm grabbing it, making sure everything I'm in line, making sure everything's level. And when I lock in things that I'm locking in, it's almost like a checklist, like I'm locking in each muscle that I need to, and just checking it off as I go through. And then once I'm ready, I brace, and then I'm ready to rock and roll. So it's become habit, but sometimes it can hinder you too, because if you've done something a certain way and then you need to critique things, it's hard to break path from those things that you do. I've had to do that a couple times, so I've switched up just a teeny bit, but ultimately just those tiny critiques can add, pounds onto whatever weight you're trying to move. So
That's cool. I think a lot of people don't realize like in any aspect of I mean, shoot, even just moving furniture, just the mind to muscle connection. Like I think people don't take advantage of that enough because they don't realize how vitally important it is. Because if you don't have that, I can't even explain it. I mean, unless you've experienced it, there's just no way to really explain it, like in all honesty, because if
you're 100% accurate. Because like I still feel like I'm a newbie at all of this. There's so much for me to be able to learn from, from so many different lifters and coaches and just athletes in general. And watching them on YouTube and watching them on Instagram and watching them on Facebook, I learn new things every single day. And one thing that, like, I look back on videos and I'm like, how did I not break my back? Like, how was I even moving weight? But at the time, the thing that I really like, just kind of stepping off course there a little bit, is when you look back on those videos, in those moments was a highlight, like a highlight of my life where I'm like, wow, I felt so good in that moment. Now I look back and I'm like, oh, right. But I still loved every step of that path or every step of that journey. Everyone starts somewhere and you start learning things and, critiquing and moving forward with it. So it's just a fun experience to be a part of.
And it's important too, to like what you're saying, like you don't know everything, you're constantly learning. We've talked to a lot of people, and some people just honestly believe that they know absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And I control myself because I'm just sitting there listening to this, like, you don't know everything, and I don't know everything. So it's cool to see, like, when someone's like, I for sure definitely don't know everything. I'm always trying to learn more because this is what I love to do, and I want to be the best that I can possibly be. And how can I expect to do that without learning from other sources? And that goes with anything.
Exactly. I was just going to say that goes along with everything in life. The same thing goes with, I strive every day to be a better person than I was yesterday. If I already know everything, then I can't be that better person.
Exactly.
So people who think that is their thought process, but I want to be like, all right, who am I going to learn from, or who has some qualities that I like that I want to, how did they get there? Or how did they act like that?
Exactly.
I mean, you can be or do whatever you want to, and that's the truth.
Exactly. Like, you always want to strive to be 1% better every single day. That's what we always say, is at least 1% better. Because that's 365% better by the end of the year. So
exactly. Yes.
I'm 51 years old. I've been in this game for a long time. I mean, I was an athlete in high school. Lifting throughout my life, and I still learn stuff all the time.
Right.
It never stops. Not if like, so with my clients, right? do I want to stop learning now and just say, hey, this is all I can teach you, or should I continue to try to learn myself and continue that education, right?
Right.
You know, it never stops. Every day is a day to get just a little bit better. Like she said,
Yep.
1% better a day. Every day a little bit better in some aspect of your life. And what a lot of people don't realize is the gym carries over. And your work life, your work ethic, everything that you do carries over into something else. When you're
Mhm.
killing it in the gym and you're disciplined with your diet and you're doing those things, it carries into your daily life. It carries into your relationship with your spouse, into your relationship with your children, your work ethic at work, all of those
Yep.
things it carries into.
Yep. I 110% agree. And that's one thing that I lacked in my life. And I think that's why I hold this position in my powerlifting aspect of my life so near and dear, is because it was the one constant that I was able to control that actually taught me that just a different perspective of how to live life, and about, being consistent in anything will show results. I mean, that's consistency is key.
I mean, and
100%.
it could also be bad consistency too. That's why I say, like, whatever you do consistently is going to be your end result. Like, if you consistently eat 4,000 calories a day and
Yep.
do
Oh,
anything,
yep.
Yeah,
you're gonna be
100%.
fat. Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
The key doesn't always have to fit the door, but it's going to
yeah,
be the key.
that's right.
Yeah.
No,
You
yeah,
consistently smoke and drink, you're gonna have problems when you get older. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's good consistency and there's bad consistency, just like there's good and bad.
Yep.
There is good and bad discipline. I mean, there is, like, at the end of
Well,
the day,
even too,
I think
like they say, too much of a good thing's a bad thing too.
always, yeah, to use
So,
everything in moderation for sure. Because I mean, discipline in turn is genuinely positive, because it's driven towards making yourself better. But you can also have discipline in bad things, such as, like, not being able to function without your phone each day because you're so disciplined to make sure to check your phone every single day, or smoking, or I mean, it's just all the same stuff. Like, like, that's just too part of your regimen that you just can't
yep.
waver from it. But typically speaking, I mean, discipline is associated with positivity, which is good, because I don't know, most people don't know when they say, "Oh, I don't have discipline." I'm like, "Oh no, you do. It just might not be
Right.
the right discipline."
Right. Well, it's just like good. And like when when you're talking to your kids, if you're giving them positive feedback versus negative feedback, you're going to
Yes.
see difference. That's one
Yes.
thing. Like they did this study, and this is kind of totally off topic too, but like going into that is what you feed. They did a study with plants, and they put one plant in a room with the exact same sun, water, food, everything as the other plant. But one, they had a speaker playing that was saying negative things like, you won't grow.
Mhm.
You're going to be small. You
Seen
won't ever
that.
grow. And then in the other room, they put a recording in there telling the plant how beautiful it was and how big it was going to be. And it significantly grew bigger than the other plant.
Yep.
So that's just like everything in life. If you are constantly feeding yourself all this negative energy and all those negative things, it's going to be a bad thing. So you're the one that's got to choose where your dedication is, centered or
Yeah.
focused.
That's where a lot of
100%.
self accountability comes into play, because I mean, people can, like, they sit there and they just say how terrible their life is, or how, like, that's out of their control, or this is out of their control, and that's why I'm the way I am, or this, I was born this way. Why do you expect me to change? That's not how
That's
it
what
is.
I get really defensive about those kinds of topics and those
That's
situations, because I'm like, man, I'm lucky I'm not in a nut house or on the street, strung out, dead, or a million other.
Literally,
It's all a choice, man. And people
it
are always like, I
is.
can't, or I don't have time, or I don't this, and it's hard. It gets hard sometimes. So I had to like kind of step back and get away from like the offensive aspect or approach on it, and be like, all right, listen.
Yeah,
Let me
exactly.
tell
Yeah,
you a little story.
I mean, we've had so many people on the podcast that have all, like, they're all so successful now, and they've all had horrible, like Jesse, for example, like, had a horrible opioid addiction for years, alcohol addiction for years, and now is like the best he's ever been, you know?
Right.
It's like that was just a decision that he wanted to make for himself. And
Yep.
I mean, he was deep in the hole too. So yeah, at the end of the day, and yeah, I agree with you, because I mean, sometimes people come up, I mean, shoot, they come up to me, they're like, what can I do to lose weight? And I tell them, they're like, well, I don't have time, or that seems too hard. And I'm like, okay, then don't ask me. If you
Right.
don't want my answer,
Yep.
then don't ask
That's
me.
what I tell people too. They're like, can you make me a plan? And I'm like, well, I can make you whatever you want, but you're the one that's going to have to stick to it. Like I'm like, and that's one thing that's hard for me. So like I do training on the side, and that's one thing that's really hard. So like when you're training and you have to match energy. So if, someone's just not feeling it that day, you have to give them your energy,
Yeah.
And so it is a hard thing to do when you're like, crap, I need you to come meet me,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's the same thing. It's like if you want to do something, you gotta want it, and you gotta make time and prioritize it, and you got to want it with all of your being.
I have a client who says this to me all the time. It is easier for you than it is for me. And I said, dude, if you think it was easy for me, you got another thing coming, man. It was hard. It's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially when you start. I was always in shape. I let myself get out of shape. And here I was, like 47, 48 years old, 320 pounds at my son's graduation. And I saw a picture and I was like, what the hell have you done?
You're like, fudge.
Right? But I had to work, and especially at that age, right? I mean, things are going downhill at that point. I had to work very, very hard. It was not easy. It was something that I was motivated to do and then disciplined to do, because motivation only carries so far.
Right.
If you don't get that discipline to kick in, to start making the right choices on a consistent daily basis, and going to the gym and eating the food you're supposed to be eating and working on getting better, it's not going to happen.
Well, see, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget too, is because they're like, I'm going to get on this diet, or I'm going to do this workout, or I'm going to do this thing. Is like, okay, well, you only have that thought process for so long, because then it becomes part of your life. And now
100%.
your life. You have to, when you go into it, it's not like, oh, I'm going to get on this diet, or I'm going to, try this workout. It's like, okay, no, I'm going to start my journey. I might fall off. I might, go back 3 steps, but I'm going to come forward, and I'm going to keep going forward with my life change. And I try to explain that to people I talk to. It's like, you have to be willing to change everything that because you're obviously in a state that you want change. And in order to change, you have to do things you haven't done before. That's the hard part, is doing the things that you haven't done before and incorporating those into your daily routine is what's hard. So once you start incorporating it and you start changing it, then everything becomes easier, because now you've learned how to process it just like you would.
It's just part. Exactly. Yeah. It's part of everything that you're doing. I mean, going to the gym and working out is something that you never would have fathomed weeks or months ago. And all of a sudden you can't function without it,
absolutely. If I go 3 days without it, I'm like, what's
wrong
with me? Why am I depressed?
Anxiety ridden, you're stressed out. Like it's insane. And the easiest way for me to compare, like exactly what you were just saying, because people are still like, I just want to lose weight. I'm like, but it's not just losing weight. It's not a diet. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle change is what it is. And I always compare it. I said, there's 2 things in your life that you do every single day. And if you didn't do them, your life would be shitty, quite literally. If you didn't wipe your ass and didn't brush your teeth every single day, those are things that you probably don't want to do all the time, but you do them because you're supposed to. If not, you're going to smell bad on both ends, and teeth are going to fall out. You have to wear a lot of underwear. So that's the easiest way to compare the 2. I mean, honestly, it really is.
Well, and that's one thing too, is like, James made a good point. Like when I sent him over some pictures and stuff, he made the comment like, hey, it's cool to see your transformation, where you came from. It's, to most people, they look at it and those are 2, that's, hard work. Holy crap. She went from like bigger to skinnier, or really skinny to thick. And to me, I look at it and I'm like, damn, I lost some demons. Like, wow. Like that's a fight.
It's inspiring. Your journey's inspiring. And I tell people all the time too, I'm like, listen, if you want to be successful in anything, it's not just in fitness. If you want to be successful in anything, you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. Absolutely. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's in the gym, with your diet, with your relationships.
Why you take my Goggins from me? I say that.
Because I've always no.
One-liners.
Yeah, no. Her one-liner is because you didn't.
Oh yeah.
Which I
No,
love
that's
that
fun.
example too. That's a great example. But
I love
you
that one
just you
though.
got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
It's the only way.
I
I
mean,
mean, even think,
go ahead, James.
I was just going to say, even if you're having a bad relationship with a friend, if you don't have the uncomfortable conversation to get through all of the garbage, you're never going to fix it, and then that friendship is lost, right? Or
Right.
that relationship, or whatever. You've got to be willing to get in the shit and deal with it. Like you said with your
Yep.
demons, right? You've got
Yep.
if you try to avoid them, they're always going to be there, and they're going to
Right.
rear their head up, and they're going to get you. You've got to
Well,
face that
and that's
shit
one thing
head
too.
on.
Is so I use the gym as my therapy. Like a lot of people, say that, but like when you do that, eventually you get to the point. Like I got to a point where I was like lifting one day, and I stopped and I kind of looked around and I was like, I'm not angry anymore. Like I didn't even leave anything here today. Now I'm just
Yeah,
enjoying this.
just
Like
enjoy it.
now this I'm actually like can laugh because when I first started, I was super like on focus or on point focused. I couldn't like this is what I was letting things go as I was there. And now I go in there and I'm like, this is my clear time. Like I think about nothing but the weight that I'm either gonna, put above me on my back
Yeah.
or pull up. Like that's what I think about. And so it changes. It starts, converting into these more aspiring things that just move forward with your life to help you deal with today versus, dealing with what you went through. So
100%. I'm happiest in two places. One place we will not talk about on this podcast. The other place is the gym, and it is freaking Prozac. You're right. When I go in there, I don't care what kind of worries I got on my mind. Everything is gone. I'm just having a
yep.
great time, moving some weight, I just love it.
Yep.
That's all. I mean, when I was consistently working out, that's how I felt. I need to get back on that train.
Choo choo girl.
Get back on
Well,
that. Yeah, no,
Emma,
we talk about the same thing, like even at work, with our clients, and in our line of work. So Ashley, if you don't know, I sell life insurance. That's what I do pretty much freaking extra full
that's
time.
why she quit going to the gym for a while because she's been busy getting that built up.
Yeah, it's taken I'm finally getting to a spot where I'm really comfortable and I have a good schedule, so it's getting better. But I always tell everyone because you can't. It's, for lack of a better word, you got to be pushy with these people, right? On decisions on making life insurance decisions, right? And making sure that they have a premium that they can afford each month to protect their families' lives. Most people don't know anything about life insurance when we sit with them. So really we're educators because we're educating them on different types of life insurance. But all these people that don't write as much business as I do, they're like, well, they just tell me no, or they just tell me they'll think about it. And I'm like, well, you probably didn't make them uncomfortable because they remember uncomfortable times. They remember feeling uncomfortable. You have to have those uncomfortable conversations because that's
Right.
when decisions happen and that's when things change. And so it's not even just in the gym. It's not even just in the kitchen. It's literally everything in life. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. There's just no way.
Well, those
Some
apply
things,
too, right, Emma? Because you don't know you need it till you need it.
right?
Right.
Exactly.
Or you
Just
don't
like
need
the
it.
gym.
You need it till you already learned it, and you're like, wow, that's helpful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
oh, it's pretty crazy to like some funny story actually. I have a new agent in my car. His name's JT, and he was with me in this house, and we see a lot of lower class, middle income families, and those are typically the clients we sell to because they definitely don't have
Right.
15 to 30 grand laying around for a funeral, right? And
Right.
they know how expensive those can be, and they're okay with paying a monthly premium each month to making sure their families are properly covered. That's majority of my clientele. I do see some higher income, it just kind of depends. But we were sitting there, and this house was very much roach infested. And so when you go into these houses, you just pretend like you don't see those things.
Right.
You see them crawling on the walls, you see them crawling on the floor and on the couch. You don't say anything because
Right.
it's these people's normals, and you came into their home, so you just run what you're supposed to run. And he asked me after, he was like, "So, what do you do like if there's like a roach like on you or like right next to you?" And I said, "Pretend like you don't see it." And he was like, "Okay." I tried to like move just a little bit and not make a big deal out of it, but this thing just kept getting closer. And I was like, I was dying laughing because I was like, bro, I've been there. But yeah, you just gotta pretend like you don't see it.
Oh
He's like,
man,
chew, chew.
that's funny.
Yeah, he was like
That's funny.
he did not move the entire present. I did 2 presentations in that house. It took me like an hour and a half. He literally sat there like this the whole time because he was just too scared to like sit back or like move or anything. So like if I saw him moving in the corner, I just kind of like
Shifting from one butt cheek to the other.
That's funny. So
it was too funny.
that's good. So hey, Ashley, what do you got going on? What's you got anything coming up in the future?
Right now I'm just doing off season for my powerlifting. I'm really, really new to powerlifting. I'm only 2 years old, in the actual competitive world. And so I haven't had a full off season. I am going to do my off season and then I want to look into like Ghost Clash next year.
What's
It's
that?
it's a pro-am powerlifting.
Okay,
Yeah.
good
Or
deal.
just get onto a national stage and then go from there. Cause when I got invited to the Arnold, I was invited under an elite status, but, I want to go in and start
Did
making
you
some numbers.
compete at the Arnold?
Yes.
Okay, just this last one, right?
Yep. Yep.
You know, I had my room reservations, everything. I was going to be at that show, and then I busted my foot last year. I went last year. Matter of fact, I busted my foot 2 days after the Arnold Classic last year. I love that show.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. Like the whole thing was really neat. The only thing is we had to travel back on Sunday, because we drove,
Yeah,
which was kind of sucked because everybody like the big names were there on Sunday. I
yeah,
was like, dang it, but it was
yeah.
still
Everybody
really
hangs out at the expo after the show. Everybody
yeah,
comes in. It's a good time.
yeah.
So, so that's good. So, when do you think you'll start competing again? How much longer is your off season?
I want 6 months, but we'll see. I always find I'm trying to stay away from looking at the different competitions and stuff. And if I can stay away, I'll be fine. But I usually will find something that I want, and then I'll go through rosters and I'll start seeing numbers, and I'm like,
I could do that.
I want
I
to be
got
that
that.
big. I,
Yeah. What? Hey,
I want to be on that level.
what's your off season diet like? What are you eating in a day?
So I'm kind of growing right now, and I've been doing a cheat meal once a day. But other than that, I've just been eating kind of my normal. I eat pretty clean for the most part, which is I eat 2 eggs, 11 ounces of egg whites, cup of spinach, half cup or quarter cup of oats, and for my morning, and then
Yeah,
chicken rice and veggies.
yeah. That's pretty much I little red meat, chicken and rice, maybe some
Yeah.
ground turkey and rice,
I
veggies.
keep it really simple just because it's easier with my fast-paced life. I don't need a lot of variety. I do have a sweet tooth. That's my downfall. I love cookies. I love cookies. So I always try to have like some kind of like uh stevia chocolate or something where I can munch on or throw it in my mouth and have something that'll kind of curb that. But for the most
Yeah,
part, that's what I eat.
good deal. Good deal. So let me ask you this. I know I used to post a lot. I'm sure you still do with your kids. How old are they?
My oldest son is 19, almost 19, and my oldest daughter is almost 15. My
Ah,
youngest son is almost 9, and my youngest daughter is almost 8.
so you got a pretty good spread. So mine are I have four as well. Mine are oldest will be 33, youngest will be 21 this year. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good time. And I have four grandchildren, so that's what happens when
Aw.
you get old. They start
If
making
my
when
kids
your
have
kids
kids
start
maybe
making
30.
babies, it's like, what the hell? When did this happen? It's
Yeah,
not
right.
allowed.
Yeah, no, I'm terrified of that. I'm like, I had
Oh,
my oldest when I was 17, so I'm like, they're calling
yeah.
me Annie.
No, it's the best. It's the best. It really is. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than hanging out with the grandkids, man.
Right.
Nothing better.
And then
So
they go
we're
back.
just, yeah, exactly. That's why you bring them in, you fill them full of sugar, you get them wired to town. Hey, Dad, you mind watching the kids? Doug and I are going out. Oh yeah, I got them. Bring them on by. Honey, go to the store, get a bunch of gummy bears. We got this.
Get all the sugar, all of it. Brownies, cookies, it all. Ice cream.
Yeah, it's fun. No, it's a good time. It's a good time. So listen, with everything that you've been through, if there's one thing that you could tell somebody, one thing that you think would make a difference, what would that be? Not
Well,
anything in life.
um, only you can save you. That would be the best advice I could give somebody. Nobody's going to do the work. Nobody's going to put in the effort. Nobody's going to tell you. Nobody's going to show you. You have to go out and find it. You have to go out and be the one that does the research. You're the one that has to ask for help. You're the one that has to have the motivation, the dedication, the consistency. Nobody else will.
I
Only you
love
can save
that.
you.
That's really good. Only you can save you. That's probably the best line we've had on here. What do you think?
You gotta tattoo meaning the same thing.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
That was a hard lesson I had to learn. So
Yeah. It is tough, right? I mean, you get yourself in trouble one way or another, right? It doesn't matter what it
right.
is, relationship trouble, life, health, whatever. And you're looking for someone to help you. But oftentimes you forget to look in the mirror and go, hey, maybe the product of everything I'm going through has to do with some of the choices that I'm making and the actions that I'm taking in my life.
And nobody wants to take that responsibility. So a little story or backstory or whatever. It's just growing up rough upbringing. So people broke me growing up, parents, relationships. I was not taught anything really about how to survive life other than surviving trauma.
Yeah.
So I always thought I was going to find somebody to fix me. And I was searching, and like they always, say that girls have daddy issues or all this kind of stuff, and it is a thing, but it's searching for somebody to fix you since people broke you, and especially in childhood trauma, that's a major thing that goes into the emphasis of the trauma that comes with that. Is it's a chemical reaction in your brain. Really, it's kind of proven that it causes almost like brain diseases, brain
Yeah.
disorders. I can't remember exactly what it's called. And I finally had to realize that nobody was coming. I wasn't going to find my saving grace in any person besides the person that was looking right back at me, because I didn't know what I needed or how to ask for it. So
The accountability mirror.
absolutely. A lot of people don't know what that is either. And a lot of people don't want to look at it. So they just kind of sidestep it as they walk by.
Yep.
It's amazing too, I think how so many of our issues they're not physical issues. Even our physical issues are not physical.
Right.
Uh Most of them are mental.
Right.
Most of it is learning to assess, learning to become comfortable in your own skin, learning to appreciate your self-worth and who you are as a human being on this planet. And that I don't care if you're fat or skinny or look good or you're ugly as hell, you have something to offer somebody.
Right.
We can
Absolutely.
all lift each other up, right?
Right.
And that mental part of learning to get comfortable in your own skin is,
And I think a
is
lot of
so
people
important.
take that too literally, as being comfortable in your own skin. It's not just about the way your body looks or the way anybody sees you. It's about the way you see yourself. And
Hmm.
like I said, when I look at pictures, I don't look at it and be like, oh damn. It's like I fought so much to get there. It wasn't that I just lost pounds, I lost baggage. I lost demons. Like that was actual demons and just trauma coming off of me, and or strength coming on. Either way, it's just, and a lot of people don't understand that aspect when it comes to things like that. You have all these cliche comments that people say that you're like, what the hell does that even mean? Like that is so stupid. Then you kind of go through something and you're like, oh, That makes all the sense in the world. No wonder everybody says that.
Nothing better in life than experience, right?
Right. Yes. Yes, exactly. And that's another thing is, you can start over a million times, but you're starting over with more experience every time,
That's
So,
right. That's right. And we talked about this last week. There was, I can't remember exactly what it was. I was watching a podcast and they were talking about a person was going through some stuff and this other person was making fun of them. And the dude on the podcast said, "Hey, don't make fun of them. It seems minuscule to you because of what you've gone through, but to them, that is the worst thing that they have ever
been
experienced
through.
in their life."
Absolutely. Trauma is trauma is trauma.
Correct. And so,
Exactly.
and sometimes we look and be like, "Man, I've dealt with that a million times. What the hell are you so concerned about?" Well,
Right.
that may be the first time they're dealing with it. And
Yeah.
so we need to understand that about people, and we need to understand it about ourselves, because even in my own life, like, I'm mostly a happy guy.
Right.
Right? Even when I was out of shape and fat as hell, I was a happy guy. I love people. I try to serve people. I've always been that person, right? I've
Yeah.
always been very happy. But this last year, man, has kicked me right in the nuts. I
Right.
mean, I busted my foot. I've been out of work over a year. Which, brought about this podcast because I had a lot of time to think.
Yeah. Right.
But all this stuff, right? I keep getting kicked and kicked and kicked. And I'm still, for the most part, pretty happy, right? But there have been some days that have been pretty damn dark where it's like,
Absolutely.
oh, shit, dude, can I do this again? Can I do it again? What do I do? And for me, it's usually that's when I look in the mirror and look inward. I reach out to the people closest to me. Emma's gotten a few of those phone calls. I reach out to the people closest to me, and then I try to find the path forward.
Right.
Right? How
Forward
can
momentum.
I just put my head down, one foot in front of the other, and eventually there's light again.
Right.
But it's not easy.
Right. No, it
It's
isn't.
it's hard,
And there's
man.
always going to be, that's one thing I like hearing too. Oh, I'll start when this happens, or I'll start when I don't have this in my life, or when I get through this. I'm like, you're going to be going through that again here in just a minute. Like there's always something. It's just learning how to go through things more gracefully, because
Yeah.
emotions are our biggest downfall as human beings. Is we're just so extreme in our emotions instead of just dealing with things. Like there's been even like the softball players that my daughter plays on their team, they have a 24-hour rule, and I absolutely love this. Is if something happens on the field and there's the girls are getting into it or whatever, they have a 24-hour period where everybody goes home, nothing is said, nothing is talked about, everybody's feelings get to calm down, and they come back the next day after practice, and then they'll address it after everybody's calm and say, okay, is there still an issue? If not, so be it. If there is, then they'll move forward with it. So it just takes the emotion out of the conversation or out of the decision or out of everything, and now you're just dealing with a situation and a response. So every decision, you have to have a solution. If you just keep adding drama into it, you're just getting a bigger issue with no solution. So, yeah, I don't know. People don't realize that a lot of times, that the emotions are just, they're crazy.
You're not wrong. That's for sure.
No, and I think sometimes people are afraid to speak, right?
Right.
They're
Oh,
afraid
yeah.
they're going to either upset somebody or say the wrong thing, or maybe they've said the wrong thing, or you know what I'm saying? People just sometimes they have a tough time having those conversations where
Well, and
if you have it right away, you could deal with it.
Yep. So I've been in that situation too. So that's one thing that I like to preach as well, as use your voice even when it shakes. And growing up, I was silenced. My opinion didn't matter, beat down to where, I didn't have a self-esteem. I didn't want to say anything. I was a people pleaser. I would give everything of me just to make everybody else around me happy, even if it was giving, the last pieces of my sanity. And I would never say anything because I didn't want to upset anybody or say something that was disrespectful or be disrespectful. Like, you have to learn how to do it, and it sucks too, because the transition phase goes from not saying anything to saying it so aggressively, then finally finding the balance, and you're like, okay, I can do this now, and I can say these things again without the emotion, and I'm going to say these things because I matter. Like, I as a human being matter, but you can say them in a way that is still holding true to who you are and being respectful. So
yeah, very much. Excuse me.
I think we need a cough button.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk
So,
about this. I mean, we
go
talk
ahead.
about
Go,
these
go.
things all the time. I mean, between James and I, we say the exact same stuff. But I've been having to really like grind it into my leadership position as well as into the person who leads me in the office, Austin. Because no one wants to hurt anyone's feelings. But at the end of the day, you're doing them a disservice. That's all it comes down to. You're not doing anything but saving your feelings, but you're doing them a disservice. That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
So we have
sometimes that's
about that.
that's a good point, Emma, because sometimes hurt feelings can fix the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Literally.
say something, you say it, and yeah, maybe that person's feelings are hurt, but it gives them the opportunity to go, okay, what they said is accurate. How do I
Right.
fix that? Do I need to apologize? What steps do I need to take to move forward or to get better or whatever the case may be?
Right. Yep. 100%. And a lot of times people don't want to take the accountability for it too. That like they'll lash back or get defensive about something like that. But then in the next breath, again, once you take the emotions out of it, and they sit back and they're like, damn, they're right.
Yeah, maybe I
Mhm.
shouldn't have said that.
Now they were right. Now I got to go back and apologize. Those kinds
Yeah.
of things. It
Yeah.
plants that seed.
It's important. I
Uh,
mean, at the end of the day, some of these people, like most people in general, actually they don't look in the accountability mirror. So they don't know what's wrong with them. They don't know what they could potentially do to make themselves better. And yeah, they do get 9 times out of 10, someone gets defensive about any critiquing that gets done for any part of them, especially if it's like a physical, like a look, like mental reactions, that kind of stuff. That one gets a little bit of lashback, but definitely not as much. But going into like the physical aspect, like when I was 230 pounds, anytime anyone ever said anything to me, I was, well, I just had a baby. It's fine. I
Right.
just had a baby. Not to
Right.
not to take into account I was still 190 pre-baby. So,
Right.
but I never it, and it goes exactly what you said. You're the only person that can do anything for yourself. You have to make that decision on your own.
well,
And so that's what it came down to for me. I was like, damn, I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of looking like this on the beach. I want to look like that girl over there on the beach. I don't want to look like this anymore. I don't
Right.
like it. So, I mean,
well,
it comes down to you have to have that uncomfortable conversation with yourself.
With
You do.
well,
yourself.
ego is
Absolutely.
a mother. You know what? Ego
You're
is.
telling me
I
I'm the
mean,
ego.
that's why I think we get so offended when people correct us or say we're wrong about something or call us out on something. It's that ego. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Right.
We just, and rather than being a little bit humble,
Right.
Yeah.
humble will take you a lot farther and you'll learn a lot more. If you're willing to, like you say, look in the accountability mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, you messed up, go apologize and fix it.
Right. Right. Oh
God
yeah.
has made me
And
do
then
that.
actually have the conversation with yourself, like, okay, what steps do I need to do? And that's really important too, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I said it out loud, I can get better now. It's like,
No,
no, that's cute and all. We wish that's how it went, but you actually have to like go out, and even though you say it out loud, or you recognize something, and then you have to go and find the
Be
solution.
about it. Yep.
yeah,
Walk away.
actions,
Yep, 100%. Yep.
actions. Well, Ashley, it's Sunday evening. We are so grateful for you willing to come on and talk about a little bit of your story and what's going on. Is there anything you're promoting right now?
Not really. Just I still have my Axe and Sledge demo crew stuff,
Hey,
and
send me that code. I'll put it in the description
okay,
and for sure. But anything else or just still that? You still doing that?
just that right now. Yep.
All right. All right. And I'll also put your Instagram in the description as well if anybody wants to
Okay.
follow. I'm telling you right now, it's well worth it. The girl kills it in the gym. She lifts some heavy stuff. It's fun to watch,
I don't
and
even think I
you'll learn
follow her.
something.
Stop.
Huh? You don't
I don't even
follow
think
her?
I follow her. I don't
What's
think
wrong with you?
so.
Hey,
You are
excuse me,
now.
ma'am.
What's your user? What's your username?
It's Ashley Omsberg, Omsberg. I'm an Omsberg, but my stepdad adopted us, and we just haven't officially changed our name.
I found ya.
Yeah. She's a good.
I've seen you on the demo crew and Axe and Sledge Facebook group, which is probably why I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't use Instagram unless someone follows me. I don't go out of my way to
Right.
follow people. I'm too busy, unfortunately.
Well, anybody listening, I'm telling you right now, she's a good follow. She lifts some good stuff, and you can learn some things from her technique. She's very specific about the way she goes about her lifting, and really, it's for me, it's just fun to watch, man. I like seeing people kill it, and you kill it. That's one of the things that first. When I first met Emma, same thing. She kills it. She works hard. I like to see people take on a challenge and accomplish it.
Right.
It gives me great joy to see people succeed. Um,
Absolutely. It is the after scene of those big hits of the expressions of people that are either about to cry or they're just so intense about what they just did that just gets my heart. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I love seeing people accomplish their goals, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
live through them. It's why I've coached in many aspects my entire life, and that's the reason why, because I love seeing people be successful. And if
Yep.
I can help them do that, I'm willing to do it.
For
So,
sure.
but we love you, girl. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much for
you.
coming
Thank you,
on.
Emma.
Emma, you got any last words
Not that I can think of.
that you think of? Well, hey, we're going to leave you with this. So you get out there and work hard, peoples. And remember, don't forget to smile. We're out. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.